So Bethesda did something pretty interesting today with Fallout 76. Over the past few weeks, we've been building up to the Sheepsquatch eventually coming to this game. There's been hints and details posted here and there. There's a random event in the game as well as several side quests that made it pretty clear the Sheepsquatch was on the way. But even further, there was a lot of other data mined content, including images of what the Sheepsquatch actually looked like. Well, earlier today, without actually announcing anything, Bethesda did the figurative flipping of the switch, making the Sheepsquatch and the Sheepsquatch event active. I was actually working on a separate video at the time when all of a sudden I started getting a bunch of tweets and messages of people saying, hey, I just took down the Sheepsquatch. So if you just want to see what the Sheepsquatch looks like in game, I tried to get some decent footage of it doing some of its various attacks and animations. I wouldn't even really call this much of a spoiler, hence me putting it in the thumbnail, because one, it's being posted everywhere online already in different Fallout communities, but even further, it's not associated with a questline. It's just one event you fast travel to, and all of a minute or two into the event, you'll encounter the Sheepsquatch for yourself. In game, it definitely is really cool. It's a lot bigger than it seemed like in some of those previously data mined images, but otherwise, those of you who are interested in actually checking this guy out is by doing the newly added event Free Range. So we had heard about this over the past couple of weeks through data mining. We kind of knew this was the Sheepsquatch event. It doesn't seem like there's any trigger to this event, or not that I know of. It'll just randomly pop up on the server like a lot of the other events you can find. And even though I consistently found it right in this spot, like all of the 6 times I completed this, it was here. It seemingly can also occur in a couple of other locations. As of right now, it looks like there's 3 places this can happen in total. So you might have to server hop a little bit, but it seems like it's been pretty active. I've had an easy time finding it after server hopping. After fast traveling to this event, you're going to have the task of picking up a totally new weapon in the game. This is going to be known as the Shepherd's Crook, and it basically gives you the option to herd the Brahmin. So you'll ring a little bell as you're walking near the Brahmin, and they'll run in one direction. And basically from there, you're trying to herd the Brahmin from point A to point B, but along the way, a couple of creepy critters or a bear or two will run up and try and eat them. You'll see their health bars on the side and you'll have to defend them, but then finally, as you get to the final part of the event, you will have the Sheepsquatch pop out. During one of the earlier parts, you could hear its roar in the background, but the end of this event is actually protecting the Brahmin from the Sheepsquatch. Once you take down the Sheepsquatch, the event will end. Something pretty cool about this one, it actually seems like depending on how many players are active, you might get 2 Sheepsquatch, not just 1. Out of the 6 times I've done this, I've only seen 2 total, so I don't think it could go to 3, but that definitely is possible. Maybe we just didn't have enough players there, but I actually really like this. When you were in a smaller group, you only encountered 1 Sheepsquatch, but when there were a lot more people, I almost consistently encountered 2. It ups the challenge a bit, but also ups the likelihood you'll get some of the drops or loot from the Sheepsquatch yourself. Because during some of these, people just using their 2-shot explosive weapons took this thing down very quickly. So fighting the Sheepsquatch, it's actually probably one of the most interesting enemies you can encounter in this game. It has several different attacks it can use, a pretty basic kicking attack that'll just hit you with, an even more basic melee attack that'll also just hit you with. It has an AoE quill attack that'll shoot all of its quills off of its back in a circle around itself, but it also can jump up to create an AoE blast effect. And okay, that's actually it, but fighting this thing, it's pretty cool. It does a lot of different stuff in between kicking you, jumping at you, or shooting quills at you. So every single time I encountered the Sheepsquatch during this event, it was a level 80 Noxious version. We know based off data mining, there is likely going to be 3 separate variants of this, Noxious only being one of them. During some of the footage, you could see the Sheepsquatch's like upper body, torso area become red. I think that might be the Noxious part of this, but there reportedly is also going to be a necrotic and a toxic version of the Sheepsquatch, and probably also a normal one that's just a Sheepsquatch, although I haven't seen any reports of people encountering those just yet. From the Sheepsquatch itself and actually doing the event, there are several new and unique items in the game, but one pretty important note around this is actually a tiered event, so you can get 3 different tiers of rewards dependent on how many Brahmin you keep alive. So if you keep all 3 Brahmin alive, you're getting the best pool of rewards, so keep that in mind as you do things. You can find various parts of the Sheepsquatch's body, such as large Sheepsquatch horns, but also mysterious fur will drop off of this, which actually gives you ballistic fiber, making it very valuable. You can pick up these mysterious quills that were actually added in by one of the previous side quests in the game. These are interesting as they right now only scrap down into a bone, but from data mining we know there was supposed to be a Sheepsquatch quill weapon, and then other fairly basic things like Sheepsquatch meat and the Sheepsquatch skull. This event is actually really farmable, and you could repeat it several times with relative ease and sometimes get 2 high-level legendary enemies, making it a pretty good event to farm out. Even further, by farming this event, there are several plan rewards you can get. One you seem to get every single time is that Shepherd's Crook that I showed you earlier, so you can craft a higher level version, and it is a decent weapon, but this new weapon also does have several new weapon mods. I personally found some glass shards that you can attach to it, but there are other mods out there. Somebody else found a notched version that apparently gave it poison damage. Although something pretty interesting, it seems like you could only find these mods by farming the event. Scrapping a bunch of versions of this weapon didn't yield me any mods, and I only got their plans by actually completing the event over and over again. Even further, there are 2 other weapons that we do know are confirmed. You can get a Sheepsquatch club that I was fortunate enough to have somebody craft for me. You could also get the plan for this one by doing the event or taking down the Sheepsquatch. This thing's pretty cool. It actually is pretty highly detailed. It's definitely one of the cooler looking melee weapon mods out there right now. There also is another staff-based item you can get, also having its own set of mods. I've only seen pictures of this one, but you can win its plan by taking down the Sheepsquatch. And then finally, that throwing item that has now been found. These require Sheepsquatch quills to craft, so don't accidentally scrap all of yours. All in all though, having an update add in several new weapons like this is awesome, especially considering they are highly detailed, as we could see by the leveled list entries. There are several customization options right off the bat, and even beyond that, they just look cool in their own right. Outside of that, you could actually just randomly encounter the Sheepsquatch in other locations. The event is without a doubt the easiest and most repeatable, but he is a cryptid after all, so similar to the Flatwoods monster and Mothman, you might just find him around Appalachia. And that's pretty much everything. There's obviously still a lot left to uncover, but I feel like this gives you a pretty good overview of what you can expect from this. Oddly enough, the unannounced DLC is turning out, for me at least, to be one of the coolest and the most fun. It adds in a repeatable event that's actually really good. Like, even if this didn't add in a unique creature, it would still be a really nice event to do over and over again. But the fact that in addition to that, we're getting several new weapons to the game, as well as an awesome new enemy to fight, I'm really happy with this one. This is definitely a win by Bethesda. Although something curious, something I've seen people talking about, how do you feel about how they were mysterious or didn't announce this? It seems like they kicked off the event right in tandem with their double XP weekend, so that's why it went live. But do you wish they would have just announced this and been upfront, rather than having 3 weeks of waiting after we thought we were getting the Sheepsquatch? I personally think it was kind of cool. It made it exciting when all of a sudden I was working on a video when I started getting messages, hey, the Sheepsquatch is live, and then getting to tell several other people who hadn't found out yet and seeing their excitement also. I thought that was just kind of cool. Either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. Definitely a really cool new addition to the game. But with that, as always again, I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.